One of the series gets popular. Don't care! If it gets popular, it gets popular. Besides, I never know how my videos will perform after uploading them. Like, I didn't expect my Kai Chan Isn't Scary video I made about a year ago to do so well. How many views does this have now? 358! Anyway, Marriagetoxin, that's why we're here. A manga that I was initially skeptical of considering the synopsis, but it managed to surprise me as I read further along. Funny enough, I already had plans to make a video covering this manga, and the convenient biblical timing struck once again when the anime adaptation was announced last year. Just around the same time I caught up with the manga. I have no words, the jokes write themselves. But I think that's enough joking around with this intro, and it's time to actually discuss the manga. So let's get right into it. The manga was a joint effort between artists Mizuki Yoda and I cannot pronounce this name well, so bear with me. Jomaku. I hope I got that name right. Anyway, Jomaku is the writer of the manga, and these two have collaborated before working on a one-shot together. The inspiration for this manga came from Naruto, specifically Shino's Bug Clan, with Jomaku wondering how the marriage search would have been like for that clan, and based it around that idea. Which, good point. How do you marry into a family like that whose whole purpose is controlling bugs? I guess if you love someone strongly enough, it won't matter in the long run. Marriagetoxin was released on Shueisha Shonen Jump Plus website on April 20th, 2022. And since then, it garnered 16 volumes, with the anime adaptation coming out next month by the time this video is released. The first chapter introduces the main character, Hikaru Gero, an assassin who specializes in poisons that recently finished his latest job poisoning his target, and is now meeting up with his sister, Akari. They discuss the usual sibling stuff like how Gero's job went and the method of how he killed them. However, Akari mentions that lately their grandmother wants either of them to get married and produce an heir to preserve their poison clan. Gero doesn't want to get married just for the sake of their clan, and while Akari is in a relationship with her girlfriend, I don't think the clan approves of that type of relationship. The topic of marriage continues to follow Gero as even his closest friend tells him that he's getting hitched soon. Gero expresses that he doesn't know if he'll ever find someone special, but after all this talk of marriage, he thinks he's willing to take a shot at dating. But that will have to wait as Gero has another job to do. This time, his target is someone named Mei Kinosaki, who appeared earlier in the chapter giving their date a goodbye kiss. It turns out they're a marriage swindler who exploits people out of their money, and while it's for a good reason, Gero still has a job to do. That's when he gets a call from Akari, who tells him that their grandmother is quite serious about the future state of the clan and is willing to offer herself up to get married and produce an heir, even though she secretly doesn't want to. Gero then gets an idea and offers Kinosaki the option to let them live if they agree to marry him. Kinosaki declines, saying that forcing someone to marry you doesn't equate to an equal relationship. In fact, we call that a non-consensual relationship. Kinosaki then gives Gero some relationship advice, challenging him if he really wants to get married or not. This leads to Gero pouring his heart out, expressing his desire to have someone special to him and living a normal life despite never having a chance due to his upbringing. So Gero offers Kinosaki another option. This time, he wants Kinosaki to serve as his marriage advisor and help him get married. And Kinosaki accepts, impressed by the unique way Gero proposed the deal. One moment of a poison beating later, Gero tells Akari to cancel her marriage sacrifice and go and be happy with her girlfriend. He is going to get married to appease their grandmother, but it'll be on his own terms. Thus begin the long journey of finding the perfect partner to marry. So that was chapter 1, and what did I think of it? Honestly, my impressions were from the sincerity of how the manga views relationships and marriage in general, which I'll get into later in the video, and its art style. The art style of the manga is done really well. It has this perfect balance of being somewhat rough and detailed, yet beautiful at the same time. There are many double page spreads where the art perfectly captures the mood Jomaku is going for. I think it also really shines in the cover art too, where it looks like they took a bunch of vibrant neon colors and splattered them all over it, which reminds me of Danganronpa in a way, so good on Yoda for creating some appealing artwork. Of course, having good artwork can only take you so far if you don't have good characters to back it up, and every character so far is likable and enjoyable. For starters, I think I can say there will be a lot of people who would heavily relate to Garo. You know, the ones who are socially awkward, have little to no self-confidence, and are completely clueless on how to romance someone. Hey, wait a minute! But self-deprecating humor aside, Garo is exactly who I imagine him to be considering his backstory. Since he was raised in isolation to be an assassin his whole life, he developed a sense of distrust towards people and was cautious and hesitant to form close bonds. Despite this, he has a kind heart and strives to help others whenever he can, using his skills to target people who deserve it, and he deeply respects those he considers his friends. The dude may be a nervous wreck around women, but there's obviously an inner soul underneath who wants to live a peaceful domestic life with the one he loves from the chaotic darkness he was brought up in, which I can respect. As a wise, great musician once said, "We all deserve love, even on the days when we aren't our best, because we all suck, but love can make us suck less." Over the course of the manga, he builds up his self-confidence thanks to meeting other people and Kinosaki. Kinosaki, like Garo, has a kind heart, trying to help and support those who ask for it despite the work they do. In fact, the reason why they swindle both men and women by cross-dressing is to raise money to help keep their sick brother alive. The role in the broader scope of the story is minor, as, so far, they're only there to support Garo in his marriage journey and avoid getting into trouble at the same time. But their advice on love and social interactions is equally important in helping Garo to form connections with the women he's trying to build relationships with. This leads me to the topic of the romance genre and how this manga handles it well. I mentioned this before in another video, but I'm not the biggest fan of romance. I could list multiple reasons why I don't vibe with romance well, but I'm trying to keep this video under 30 minutes, so I'll be brief. Basically, I don't like how sometimes when a story pushes a romantic relationship onto the narrative, usually in an action or thrilling setting, it rarely ever develops the way it should. It's either too fast, a will they won't they, or just doesn't make any sense for me to even care about it. Not to mention, the romance tropes are oftentimes executed very poorly and melodramatic as hell. Unless it's integrated well into a character's insecurity or personal arc, I'm usually either bored, annoyed, or frustrated by these tropes, where I feel like some of these issues could be solved if they have an honest conversation with one another, instead of some stirred up drama. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, you know. But I can see the appeal of romance, and more power to you if you love the genre and its tropes. Even I can admit I've enjoyed some stories that relatively focus on the romance aspect, although they need to have an ongoing story or plot line to keep me engaged. And luckily, Marriagetoxin fits into that criteria. I was fully prepared to roll my eyes at the cliche lovey-dovey spiel, but even as early as the first chapter, this manga told me it was going to be promising. The manga takes a flavor of the week type of approach, introducing each marriage candidate through their arcs, and so far, every one of them has a different personality for someone to gravitate to. From Yoshida's efficient and logical mind, Himi's bubbly and energetic nature, Kyoko's tomboyishness and love for anything shark related, to Natsu's confidence at her job yet shy around men, Shiori's relatable social anxiety, and Makoto's emo aggressive persona. What I really like about this manga is that after every girl's main conflict is wrapped up and Garo builds a connection with them, they don't immediately fall head over heels for him, nor is there any candidate being given the special spotlight treatment while at the same time the rest of them are left on the sidelines. They just show interest in him, which is a lot more realistic, and when they have time, they'll invite him to an event or an activity they enjoy. They have their own lives to live without Garo getting directly involved. That's why I love certain arcs later in the manga where Garo takes a supporting role and helps them when they need it, which I believe is the best way to do a romance in a story like this. Have the interests equally support one another in their plights. One of my favorite scenes to come from the manga is chapter 64, after Garo says his farewell to Chinatsu and realizes that he might be four-timing with 4 women. Which is hilarious because if you really break it down and think about it, structurally this is similar to a harem story. However, Kinosaki reassures Girl that this is normal and part of the process until he decides who he wants to commit a serious relationship with. Plus, Shinatsu and Kimi are aware that Gero is looking for a wife, so I imagine they've already figured that he would see other people. And I love how despite Kinosaki's reassurance, Gero still tells the rest of the ladies so that they won't be left in the dark. I appreciate the effort of portraying the dating lifestyle as healthy, as everyone is still at that stage where they're trying to get to know each other, figuring out their feelings, and taking things slowly. Some might find this boring, but I will gladly take this slow burn over misunderstanding 3,678,249 any day of the week. Beyond the dating stuff, there's an ongoing plotline regarding the changing hierarchy of clan specialists and their politics. And just like real life politics, it's one massive group of people with big egos trying to gain power over the other and preserve their integrity. It's mostly prevalent in Yushio's and Kimi's arcs where they're specialists in their own respective lineage, and we get to see how other clans operate. The story really ramps up around chapter 99 where Gero's clan had been keeping a close eye on Gero's romance pursuits and decided that it was time to take matters into their own hands. I'm not going to spoil anything else because this deserves to have its own video and the current arc that revolves around this is still developing. But if you want me to discuss it further, then 6 likes on this video with one in the comments saying DIY candy and I'll come back to this in a separate video. Ultimately, Marriagetoxin is proving to be a great manga with a lot of potential. With a relatable protagonist, well-written and likable characters, great action scenes and art style, and depicting relationships in the dating sphere as being healthy that it made someone like me to be invested in the romantic plot of the story. And I highly recommend checking out this manga. With Studio Bones behind the wheel of the anime adaptation, I won't be surprised that this series will take off, so if you either watched the anime or read the manga, let me know what your impressions are in the comments below. Until then, thanks for watching everyone. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell for more my manga related content. I hope you have a decent day and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Take a deep breath, deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. Let it go, let it out, let it go, let it out.